are? Okay, great. All right, well, welcome back. We are on our final panel today for our workshop on recovery and rebuilding after or post Hurricane Harvey. And I want to thank the panelists today for joining us and our online audience that is joining us as well right now as we come back to talk about temporary staffing and workforce needs. We did conduct a survey of the Greater Houston Partnership membership, and there are some topics of interest specifically that they shared with us. Temporary workforce and those needs, employee assistance, as well as office space, legal and insurance, and business and financial assistance were some of the top areas of interest for them. In addition, they also talked or asked us about just general information about the economic impact of Hurricane Harvey on the Houston region. And this morning, we were able to present some information from our Senior Vice President of Research on the current data that we have available on economic impact. For all of the information today, we will have this online at the Greater Houston Partnership, and that is houston.org flood recovery. So the presentations you've heard today, the information, the FAQs, those will all be on our website, and we'll continue to update that information. We also have a resource guide, again, with key contacts and resources, and you will be able to get that information on that same website. And finally, I just want to mention that this is the first of 3 workshops that we'll be conducting. The second one will be taking place next Tuesday, September 26th, and the third on October the 3rd. And we'll be talking about maintaining your brand and your reputation during a crisis, as well as business growth opportunities. So we'll go ahead and get started with today's final workshop on staffing and workforce needs. Our next speakers are Annette Monks, President of Carlton Staffing, and we also have Marisela Martinez with Workforce Solutions, and then Michael Webster, who's the Associate Vice Chancellor for Workforce Instruction at Houston Community College. So we're going to invite Annette to come on up, and then Lisa and Michael will follow her. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carrie, and thank you, Greater Houston Partnership, for putting this on today. I think it's going to be very helpful for the businesses and for individuals as well. And my name is Annette Monks. I'm the president of Carlton Staffing, and apparently I also have a new title, which is I am one who was affected by Hurricane Harvey. So I don't know if anyone else here has been affected personally by Hurricane Harvey. Have you? Has anyone? Their hands, a couple of hands up. Well, apparently, my husband has found that it's now a competition on how much water we got in our house versus what other people got in their house. And based on the research that he's done, we won, because we had 13.2 feet in our house. So I can absolutely, well, what's interesting is last year we flooded twice. And so now I'm just wondering about my intelligence for still living in the same house. But that's a whole nother thing. Carlton Staffing is a general staffing firm, which means we do all types of placement, most often office and industrial support kind of positions. And we do temp to hire, and direct hire placement. Now, we also have 2 specialty divisions that do accounting and finance, as well as engineering and IT. We do some professional placement in our general staffing sector, more HR and any kind of office or industrial management, but usually those are more direct positions or temp to hire positions. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But we're headquartered in Houston, and we've been around for 35 years. And we also have offices in Dallas and Fort Worth. So I've been in the business since 1990, and I've been through a few storms. And what I have found that the difference this time around with Hurricane Harvey and other events that we've had in Houston is that we've been had a little bit of a leg up, at least with regards to technology. So I remember after Hurricane Ike, the managers of my company all huddled together once we found a way to where we could huddle together, and tried to find how we were going to pay all of the people that we employed the previous week. And it was a challenge because we had paper timesheets, and we had to process those paper timesheets, and we had paper paychecks. Well, now everything's done electronically. We do not have one employee that is paid by paper paycheck. So we were able to pay all of our people virtually within days. So, and they all received their paychecks on time, and that was critical. We knew it was critical because many of our employees were also affected throughout the week. So we found that to be very helpful. Now, what we're hearing from our client companies is that roughly 80%, this is good news, roughly 80%, which is the majority of them, are literally back to business as usual, not a change at all. And so they were back to business very quickly thereafter, but they lost, some revenue with the time that they were closed. But now they're back, business as usual. We're finding that our business with them is pretty typical too. So there's been no change there. Others have had a reduction in workforce because they were damaged. And the problem is a lot of the reduction in workforce are hourly workers. And those hourly workers need to work in order to have cash right now to help them with to pay their bills. So the challenge that the companies that have been damaged are having is that they're going to lose this workforce because they have to find work somewhere else and they may not return after they reopen. So this is one issue that some of our client companies that were affected are having. Another is that there was a complete loss. So all the employees are going to be displaced, and they're going to either have to relocate their business or close altogether. We have seen some of this. And then another is companies have some employees that left temporarily during the storm, but they chose not to return. I guess they got a little bit too scared. They said, that's it. So they chose not to return. Or some of our client companies hired people expecting them to come in, relocate, and those people chose not to relocate after all. So some of that, there was a little bit of fear in some of those folks. So that happened. We do have a sector of companies that there's an uptick in business immediately, and a lot of those are more in the construction and in remediation. We've seen a lot of cleanup. And so the companies that do remediation, we have many that are coming to town that need help. They do a lot of commercial remediation, but of course the residential is happening as well. What's interesting is this time around, there is a lot more volunteerism on the residential side. I don't know if you all have experienced, I personally experienced it, and which is fabulous. With the commercial side, there's a lot of need there, and there are companies that are coming into town, which is good because those people who are displaced temporarily from the companies that closed can now have that work to keep them busy during that time period. So it's really a blessing. So that's what we've seen. Now, people ask, well, how can a staffing company help me post-Harvey, especially? And there are a few things to consider when working with a staffing company, and I'm speaking now just on the employer side. First of all, you might just want to hire someone temporary. The beauty about hiring someone temporary is that if you need someone right now and you're not sure how long you're going to need them, this is the thing to do, is to hire someone temporary. There's no commitment at all, which is also fantastic. So a temp service helps with all the employer responsibility. They do all the hiring. So essentially we do recruitment, hiring, we source, we screen, we vet, we make sure it's a job fit, that it's a culture fit, that they have the experience, that they are tested in terms of skills. And we do the criminal background check, we do the drug test, we do the reference check, we do all that hiring that some people just don't have time to do right now, and they want to hire someone immediately. So that's where that helps. Also, we do the I-9 verification through E-Verify, and ultimately, we're also responsible for all of the taxes. We call it coulda, shoulda, woulda, but it's the FUTA, SUTA, that kind of stuff. So they were responsible for the taxes as well as payroll administration. Also for workers' comp management, the ACA requirements, including all the reporting for that, benefits administration, all the other insurance. So all of that is done immediately. You just need somebody to step into your office or step out into your warehouse and help. So on a temporary basis, we're seeing that's helpful, especially for companies that just need a little help with cleanup. And we've seen a lot of that. On the client side, there is some responsibility when it comes to working with a staffing firm, no matter if you hire someone temporary or attempt to hire, which we'll talk about in a moment. You're responsible for orienting them properly. So they're coming to your location, you're supervising them, and you're orienting them. If you don't orient them properly to the job that they're supposed to do at your location, they will not succeed. So this is very important. They will have the skills necessary, but you need to orient them. Also, adhering to all safety protocols that the temporary staffing service has in place. It's very important, especially with industrial positions, and especially for cleanup right now with mold and that kind of remediation work. It's very important that safety protocols are kept. Also, approving timesheets in a timely manner. Fortunately, everything's done electronically now, at least through Carlton. So it just means being cognizant of the fact that timesheets need to be approved so that your employees can be paid. And the last is just, of course, to pay your bills timely. It seems simple. However, it's a dual responsibility in order for there to be a successful relationship with the temporary staffing firm. So that's if you want to hire someone temporarily. Now, you may want to hire someone, but you're not sure if they're going to be a culture fit. So we do what we call try before you buy, which is temp to hire. And a lot of people, maybe they're not sure if they have some extra work that needs to be done. They're not sure how long it's going to be. They may actually need this person ultimately direct to work for their company. They may need them long term, but they're just not sure yet. So this is a wonderful opportunity for someone to have zero responsibility in terms of employer responsibility, but to bring someone in, see if they're a good fit, and ultimately, if you choose to convert them to your payroll, you can. So try before you buy. Temp to hire is a wonderful way to utilize a staffing firm. The next is direct hire. If you want to hire someone and you don't have the time or the skills or expertise to do the recruiting and the screening and sourcing, then a firm like ours is a perfect place to go. So this is, if you want to hire someone directly, give them your benefits and get them started. This is another way to actually try to recruit people who are currently employed. So if your unemployment rate is 5%, then that means 95% of the employees out there are actually working. So if you only go temp to hire or temp, then you're missing out on the 95% of the people that are out there possibly passively job seeking. So it's very helpful to also have that as an option if you really want to hire, the best fit for your company. So that's for direct hire. And here's another thing that might be useful is ultimately payrolling. If you have a friend or a family member who you want to help in your company just temporarily, or maybe you've identified somebody that you would like to come work for you, but you're just not set up now with payroll and everything else, go to a staffing company. We certainly can help you with that. The rate is slightly reduced because there's not the recruitment and sourcing and screening part. However, they do need to be able to qualify with the criminal background check and drug screen. But ultimately, the payroll administration is done through us, through a staffing firm, and that might make it easier in terms of employer responsibility, unemployment, all of that later. All you know is that you've got someone that you'd like to come work for you and you've not set up for it and you don't want to commit to it. Easy enough. Just give us a call and then we're able to help with that in terms of payrolling. Of course, the other side is if someone is displaced or someone is looking for work or comes to Houston and wants to find a position, we're happy to be here for you. We have many, many companies that are looking for people, and that's what we do all day long. We fill positions. So if you know of people that are looking for work, please have them go to staffing companies because they certainly have a broad spectrum of companies that they're working for right then to fill positions for. So the likelihood is much higher that they're going to be able to find a position. So the last thing that I was asked to talk about is how do we keep up with what's going on in the market and in employment in general. And of course, there's the general market data. Greater Houston Partnership has fantastic information, and we find it to be very accurate. Workforce Solutions has terrific information. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, some of our recruiting sources, Monster, Indeed, Career Builder, all these have wonderful information. We also look to our own industry expertise. There's an organization called Staffing Industry Analyst, and very, very detailed data about our industry that helps us to be better for our customers and also for those looking for work. And also there are many associations in our industry, and there's a local one, Houston Area Association of Personnel Consultants, and we're on the board for that. We're on the board for Texas Association of Staffing and American Staffing Association. So all of these organizations help to give us data to keep us apprised of what's going to be coming up, what are some of the hot areas that we need to make sure that we're recruiting for so that we can ensure that our clients' needs are met and that we can make sure organizations like the two that are coming up will be aware of so they can prepare people in the future for employment. So I want to thank you very much for having me today, and I wish you all the very best during this time period, and look forward to hearing from Marisela and Michael. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marisela Martinez, and I'm Senior Business Consultant for Workforce Solutions. I wanted to give a little bit of an overview of what Workforce Solutions actually has to offer, not only to the job seekers, but to the employers as well. Thank you. So who are we? The Gulf Coast Workforce Board and its operating affiliate, Workforce Solutions, are the public workforce systems in the 13-county Greater Houston region. Workforce Solutions helps employers meet their human resources needs and individuals build careers. Oh, wait a minute. Did I go too far? All right. So the Gulf Coast region is the largest of 28 workforce development areas in Texas, which is great. We are really covering a huge area from the Houston all the way down to Galveston, Freeport. We cover our mass area. We operate, as you can see, in 13 counties: Austin, Brazoria, Chambers, Colorado, Fort Bend, Galveston, Harris, Liberty, Matagorda, Montgomery, Waller, and Wharton. So how do we help employers? We have a lot of great incentives for you guys. For example, help filling open jobs. We basically post them in workintexas.com. Once we get them in there, then basically we can show the employer how to use the system to find the job seekers. If they're not coming to you, the job seekers can actually refer themselves, and our employment counselors can refer them to your job postings as well. So we do have people that can show you how to use our system if need be, but it's very, very user-friendly. We also offer labor market data, including general economic data, wages and salary data, and employment projections. So that way, if a new employer wants to come into town and they're not sure what side of town their pool of folks that would be a good fit for their organization, we can provide that information to help make a decision on where to locate. So definitely great information. Talent pipeline development, assistance and training new and current workers, seminars, and advice on HR issues. We have an awesome handbook, the Texas handbook, that allows you to make sure that you have all the information that you need to make good decisions when it comes to those HR relation issues that come about. How do we help job seekers? Oh, there's all kinds of great things that we do for the job seekers. We partner with the career centers, and we help them find a job, keep a job, and get a better job. Job search assistance and placement, including referrals to open jobs, which again, we refer them to the Work in Texas website, our largest state job board. We also allow them to participate in a lot of our seminars. We show people how to do a resume, what to say, what not to do in a job interview. Those are a lot of the skills that we really need people to take and take them over to their next job interview. And when I tell you, that's one of the biggest things that employers are asking for. So yes, we do have that available to job seekers. We want to get them job ready. We also have a career information, education, and counseling. You know, sometimes you don't know what you want to do. You know, I have a kid at home that keeps changing majors, and I'm just like, come on, let's pick one. But it is a hard decision because, you know, you have to wake up and want to do this every day. So I'm helping them decide what career path they want to go to is something we want to help them with as well. So, we help young adults as well. We have a big initiative on helping young adults. I know we did a Higher Houston Youth with Mayor Sylvester Turner this summer, which was really great. We got to hire a lot of people, a lot of young adults, and get them to build those skills so that way they can get out into the workforce and be able to gain employment and get out of our pockets, right? At least for a little while. So financial aid, we do have scholarships available so that way we can upskill we want to make sure that they have the skills available to be able to go out there and gain employment. So we do offer those scholarships and training and certifications. So definitely go into your local workforce career center to be able to get more information on that. Job search support services to help keep a job, adult education, literacy instruction as well. Employer incentives. So this is the good stuff for the employers. So of course we have our work opportunity tax credits, skills for small business. This is an opportunity for employers that have like from 1 to 99 employees. We have monies available to be able to get. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have an admin up front and she needs to spice up her computer skills. Well, whatever the community colleges offer, we will pay for that. We'll give the money to the school so that way they can up their skills. And that is for the skills for small business. The skill development fund, that is for employers that have 100 and above employees. And what happens at that point, we'll bring your subject matter experts, our college subject matter experts, and come up with a curriculum and then be able to offer those that training for y'all. So there's a lot of great incentives when it comes to that. So definitely take advantage of that. Skills for our veterans. We always got to take care of our veterans, right? On-the-job training. On-the-job training is a really good one. So let's just say that you're training your employees as they come in anyways. Well, we're willing to reimburse you 50% of their salary while they're in training to help offset training costs and to teach somebody a new skill set. That is a win-win for everybody. Okay, so definitely, if you have any questions on that, please come see me or give us a call. We'd love to help you on that. We have plenty of money for that. So don't not use it, okay? And of course, free apprenticeships and registered apprenticeships. Those are all great incentives that we have for employers. So please take advantage of those grants. And for more information, please contact Susan Dixon, and that's her email and phone number. Do reach out to us. Definitely want to be able to be a great resource for you all. So definitely come see us at Workforce Solutions. Thank you all for your time.
All right, thank you guys. I'm the last one on the last panel for the day, so I think Carrie was trying to make sure that I worked a full day of work, and you succeeded. My name is Mike Webster. I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor for Workforce Instruction at HCC. I'm going to tell you basically what we've done in the short time since the storm hit, and hopefully weave in some information about workforce as it relates to that. Right away, when the storm hit, the Chancellor called together a conference call that was happening every day leading up really till right when the storm hit through that week. And then when people kind of were able to get out and get to the facility, we met on campus. His charge was specifically to establish several workforce task force to address immediate recovery needs. These were emergency needs that both our faculty and staff as well as students would have. Enrollment issues that might have come up either online or students in particular. Issues with curriculum, and then establishing through our foundation a disaster relief fund. And then my task force was accelerated workforce training. We actually started meeting on the 30th of August, and I mean, really, this was a quick, fast-paced turnaround to put things together. And I would say that the group was called, while the name didn't, the acronym, the group was called Recovery Operation Task Force. The acronym might not hold very well, but overall, I think the team came together and did quite a success. My task force in particular was develop relevant short-term workforce training programs, 2-week maximum. Now, if you think about a big bureaucracy like HCC, putting anything together in 2 weeks in a bureaucracy is incredibly difficult. I would say that we did that with some success, and we're able to get things in place. Just to give you some context about HCC, if you don't already know it, we have 62 workforce programs. Within those, there's 326 specializations. Last year we awarded, or this year, 1,500 certificates or degrees and 1,300 certificates. There's currently 66,000 students enrolled. One thing that was interesting, and I'll pause here to tell you, Lone Star, Sanjac, and HCC, all three of us, actually did not see any decline post-Harvey in our enrollment. In fact, all of us actually saw a little uptick in our enrollment. So I think that speaks to the resiliency of the community and the interest of folks to get back to normalcy. Within our workforce programs, there's kind of two branches. One is the Centers of Excellence. These are all the credit programs. I'm not going to read off the programs that we have there, but they're broken into this different sectors of the industry. These are all of our associate and certificate programs. But an additional portion that we run is continuing education. And these are short-term trainings. It doesn't take a test like the credit does to get into most of the programs. These generally are going to be 6 to 8 weeks, and we can be pretty nimble on how we create these programs. If a company was to come to us and say we need such and such made, we could put a program in place to make that happen. So this is the area that we would create those 2-week training programs out of in response to Harvey. As I said, our goal was to create short-term training, and our goal was 2 specific audiences: those that have been displaced because of the storm, and those that would have an interest in entry-level work to assist people that have been affected by the storm. One example I'll just give personal. There was a apartment complex near my house, family of a couple with 5 kids living in a 1-bedroom apartment. The dad was a maintenance worker. The bottom floor of the apartment complex was flooded out. The company that he worked for said, you need to get here for work or you're not coming into work. So obviously he wanted to stay and help his family. He was displaced from work. And so those are the folks that we're wanting to help out. Entry-level work. We spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out what programs, in fact, we would put in place. Obviously, construction was a need that we wanted to focus on. Early on, we were talking about doing something with auto repair. Our dean of automotive technology actually contacted a bunch of dealerships, and they said, Dave, don't even waste your time. We're just all those cars are going to be flooded out, and they're just going to be totaled. I didn't, in my mind, I thought, okay, well, we're going to have a lot of business off of this, but apparently the electrical components, I'm probably getting more into the details than you want to hear, but the electrical components back in Allston would have been in the dashboard. Now they're all on the floor, so they just total out the cars. It's easier. Of course, you'd expect us to have drywall on this list. Our response from folks is that they think they can get enough just basic level trained or untrained skilled labor to get in there and hang or pull and hang sheetrock. I'm sure there's several of you here and online that spent some weekends ripping sheetrock out of houses that you know of folks. And we did some portions of my family. We did that as well. So obviously the need to do that kind of work isn't as high as some other things. The other piece that we wanted to do around the workforce programs is make sure that we're just training a 2-week program, get them an entry-level job, and then after the storm, their jobs disappear. So all of these programs will lead into longer-term programming at our campus, at our system. That, for example, electrical wiring, we're specifically targeting residential wiring, doing trim work, replacing sockets, etc. We want them to come back the next semester and do the commercial program that we have in place for electrical. So all of these programs, I say that they're entry level with the plan that they move on in their career later on. IT network and cabling, we heard a little bit about that earlier with HISD, but I actually heard from another ISD that all of their systems were knocked out. They were going to have a long-term need to repair both the cables and the servers. So we've set up a program there. Around insurance, just talking to our advisory board, the need wasn't as much around adjusters because they fly a lot of those in, but front office support staff that would answer calls, any of the customer service related issues that happen at an agency. At the same time, we are going to do the adjuster program just because it's, I think, long term there's going to be some other things that arise that we need to hedge off. Somebody that we have on staff at HCC, all of our bond programs are ran through a project manager, and the company is Jacobs Construction. We went down to talk to him just to find out because Jacobs also does disaster relief for recovery for a lot of regions. So we wanted to figure out, what does this look like long term? And what he said is, they actually still have folks in Louisiana based on Katrina's disaster. So he said this isn't going to be a short-term fix. This is going to be a long-term construction fix. And the biggest pinch that people are going to have is around workforce. The reason for that is, and especially in our market, the construction market is so tight right now, both the commercial and industrial side. They need so many workers that something like this to come along and then pull those folks into residential, which might be paying more in the short term, is going to pull a bigger pinch on the industry as a whole. So I think for us, even if we start these programs now, we'll probably cycle through these 2-week sessions for a good year at least. Some other things to note is that there's been a lot of players involved because we're a large trainer in the area. There's been a lot of interest from the coordinating board, TWC, the local workforce board, the Association of General Contractors, Association of Building Contractors, just to get something up and running. And I think what we're going to see is a big influx of training dollars over the next 6 months to support these needs. One of the things that TWC said is that not only is there a need well, of course, you guys have probably seen it driving in today, but there's not only a need in construction, but the cleanup, and so they're going to be putting money towards that, specifically through the city. So, I mean, even in this picture here, if you've driven by that today, I mean, everything that's green on here is brown right now, and that's going to be a significant need to fix. We're not necessarily training for that, but I'm just throwing that out there as it is going to be a need. One of the other things that I thought very interesting around the workforce is that FEMA, in any of their jobs that they need, and if you've seen some of the work that, or the information that's been put out about FEMA, is they need tons of people to come in and work in the short term. And I think the beauty of it is that they've asked that those people get funneled through the Work in Texas system. So even in the short term, if they're coming in as a civil engineer and they're working in our region, long term, we've got them in the database for workforce that we can develop them and keep them here in town. Something like that was not, and I'm not trying to use Katrina as an analogy, but something like that didn't happen for Katrina. So our plan, we established a task force, and like I said, this is a quick turnaround. We established our task force on 9/4. We investigated external demand and then also our capacity to deliver it. And very quickly, our chief financial officer offered up resources to help us do this. Identified the programs. We've created an outreach plan that we can get the word out to folks to come actually get trained. And then we've developed a short-term truncated curriculum. I think the ongoing thing that we're going to be doing is making sure that we have employers ready to go when these folks need to get hired. So our next steps are implementation of the programs. It's going to be commencing in the next week or so. Job placement of the people that graduate. Hopefully we can use Carlton for some of that. Track students to return to the system and get additional education. And also look at potential for additional programs that need to come in place. Last thing that I didn't get a chance to get the picture in here in time, but one of the things we're exploring, because there's huge amounts of neighborhoods that have just been destroyed, rather than bring somebody down to our lab to have them train there, is actually bring the lab out to the neighborhoods that have been flooded and do all the mitigation training there. So we've got this RV, and it's a huge RV that was used for something else a long time ago. Our hopes is to convert that in the next 2 weeks to a mobile training unit and take the show on the road to some of these neighborhoods and do some rebuild. I floated that by TWC and some other folks, and they seem to like it, so hopefully we can make that happen pretty quickly. Right now it's got health science on the side of it, so we're going to have to get it wrapped as well. That's HCC in a short term for right now in the recovery efforts, and I guess we'll field some questions if they're there. So, thanks.
Thank you very much, Michael. And you know what? When you get the RV ready to go, we come out and get some pictures. And okay, We would love to do that. We'd love to see what you all are doing. I think that's wonderful. This is our final panel for today's workshop. So if there are any questions, we have a microphone. If not, if any questions, I actually do have a question. So Casey, if you could bring the mic up to, thanks. You all spoke about, this is temporary workforce. This is also a little bit more of a kind of a longer term workforce, maybe the next couple of years. But, we will have people coming into Houston since we can't supply them all in Houston right now for some of these needs. Clearly there's a training aspect, and clearly there's an immediate need where we need to place folks, the remediation and construction. But how do we know that we're getting the quality workforce? There's an accreditation process that takes place, but everybody's very concerned that they're not getting someone that just comes in, and that might just be a business, but also an employee member too, and they are qualified and accredited, and we know that we can rely on them, whether that's for a business need or an individual need.
Well, that's a great question. I think that applies in any situation. So the critical component is the manner in which you screen. So whether you're going to hire directly on your own or whether you're going to go through a staffing firm or Workforce Solutions, the key is going to be to make sure that you have done your proper screening, because it's all about the numbers. And the people that come into town, there'll be a percentage of them that will be incredibly qualified and have a wonderful work ethic and be fabulous employees long term. And there will be a component of that group that will not. So the key is going to be screening, and I think whatever you do moving forward, just ensure you have a good process in place. And if you have a question about it, ask me. I'm happy to talk to you about your process about direct employment. It's no problem.
Agreed.
Well, I think one of the things that's going to happen around residential contractors is you're going to be asked the question, you want to go through the permit office, or do you want to just do this on the cheap? And the answer is always, I want to go through the permit office, because otherwise you're going to get multiple projects going on by one contractor at the same time. They might be using your space for a warehouse almost. There's several things that can go wrong when you're not going through the permit office. So ensuring that you have a contractor that's reputable, that they're bringing in subcontractors that are reputable, potentially that have registered through the C3, the Construction Collaborative, and then that they value training. That's a question that you can ask. Do you have do you train your folks, or do you know that your folks are trained? Do you have a list of where they've been trained? Those are important things to ask to ensure that you have good subcontractors on a project as well. And then lastly, of course, is to check out the BBB, because if they got some issues on the BBB, then you got some problems. And not just locally, because they're going to be coming in from other places. So ensuring that you have somebody that's valid across the nation in that regard.
That's great. And then what about, we're looking at short-term needs right now, and that's temporary. That's why we've titled the panel Temporary. Are there any predictions, any forecasts? I know, Michael, at HCC, you guys turn programming around very quickly to support the current environment's needs, and that might change after a couple of years or a year. But is there, is any of this long term? I mean, is a skill that's being developed, it clearly can be used in the future, but do we see anything on the list that you provided that could be long term for Houstonians who may be wanting to move into that career field, or anything in terms of for our populace that we would be looking at in terms of long term employment?
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to make sure that we were doing programs that weren't going to just end after 6 months or whatever, that they would lead to a further career. So if I go into HVAC installation, it's a $15 to $20 job, but if I get some more training, another 6 weeks, another 6 months back at HCC, that leads to an additional career move that either up to foreman or shop manager, et cetera. So that was our goal. So at one point there was a mention of doing some dewatering. Well, that's there's a lot of unskilled labor in that field, and then there's a few foremen on top of that, but there generally isn't a huge career path. So we kind of shied away from that when we were choosing our programs. But so I mean, I think that was part of our goal.
And I know that for us in Workforce Solutions, we see a lot of, I'm a part of a lot of like the construction resource organizations, and they're always needing electricians, HVAC technicians. Construction is booming. The refineries, there's always going to be work. The turnaround, the shutdowns. There's long-term employment here. There's plenty of it here for sure. Mm-hmm.
So I agree with that. Plus, any skilled trade, CNC machinists are, they're very rare. So anytime we have someone like that, we can place them quickly. On the professional side, civil engineering is going to be a great thing moving forward. So on the engineering side, we're seeing an uptick there. Anything associated with civil engineering too. So CAD operators, all the administrative support that goes with that. So on the professional side, that's great. Accounting can never go wrong. That continues to, usually that comes after the production workers. When people ask for that, then we need people in the front office. So that's booming because, as Patrick Jankowski said this morning, we were on our way up, and it's not stopping. Our clients are right back to where they were before Harvey, and it's not going to stop. So there's some excellent long-term opportunity here in Houston.
Okay. Great. Well, yes. We have another question.
Yeah, I just want to know, do you have any special programs for some of the people that are housed in like the NRG and the new HCC Center and the Chinese Community Center? They've been displaced not only of their housing, but of their jobs because of their transportation. I just want to sort of focus back on them. They've sort of become family as I've helped bring them through the last 21 days. And I know we have a mixed population, but there's some very capable people there that just need, we need Workforce Solutions back in there to really direct and get some training. They may be some lower skill levels, but just see what's available.
Well, from our perspective, we're a professional staffing firm. So anyone can come to us looking to see if we have an opportunity for them. And as long as they have the skills, experience necessary, we can help them. So when Katrina happened and a lot of people were displaced and came to Houston, I remember specifically working with those folks, and they had a challenge with having their paperwork and being able to be hired for that reason, which certainly we help work with government organizations for that. So that's from my perspective, but I'd love to hear from you guys.
Well, on that real quick, we've spent weeks doing DPS and birth certificates and SSI, so we've basically gotten all them paperwork that they need. So we're ready in that front, but we don't always have the computer skills or the phone skills, or we don't even have facilities that have computers and phones in them. So we need just a little extra help. And this isn't my forte, I just sort of stumbled into it, so.
Well, keep in mind that Workforce Solutions has 23 Workforce Solutions career centers. So there's computers, there's fax machines. We do the seminars so we can show them we help them with their interviewing techniques, how to do a resume. So we have the resources available. I would encourage you all to have them come see us. Come to Workforce Solutions, sit with an employment counselor, see how we can assist you, help you with job leads. We have a lot of employers, and we even have like keywords in our system that says Harvey in there. So we can just pull up a report and say, okay, these are all the jobs that Harvey has brought to us. So there's definitely a lot of resources available. Please come see us at Workforce Solutions, any of the 23 locations that are available.
Yeah, and so I learned this weekend that we were going to be housing folks at our HCC facility on Fannin, and interestingly enough, our scaffolding program is there. So there might be a natural flux to move people into those scaffolding positions. But in addition to that, we've already talked about bringing out our recruiters to recruit for programs. And around computer support specialists, that's an easy place to do that as well. So we'll probably be deploying some programming at that facility in the next few weeks. But people are coming in with boxes of their everything they own. So right now we just want to get them stable before we do any of that.
And really quick, we, Texas Workforce Commission, we did get $10 million so that we can help employers too, to help with any of the cleanup, the repairs that are normally carried out by government employees. So we do have those funds available. Just reach out to us and we'll be able to provide more information on that as well.
Well, great. Thank you so much. This really wraps things up today. Again, big thank you to those that did stick it out through the day. HCC, Mike Webster, Marisela with Workforce Solutions, and Annette Monks with Carlton Staffing. And again, if you need information, resources from today, to view the video from today, all going to be online, that the partnership Houston.org flood recovery. All right, well, we'll look forward to having our online audience back next week, and thank you very much. Have a great day.